Hello and welcome to Beyond 100 Days. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. We'll begin with the recent military airstrike in Sokoto State, which resulted in the death of 10 civilians. The Nigerian military authorities have now provided details of the strike targeting Lakurawa terrorists in the state. Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, explained that painstaking efforts were made using intelligence, reconnaissance, and surveillance in picking the target for the strike on Christmas Day. General Buba stated that the airstrike on the terrorist arms cache and logistics dump led to secondary explosions, causing hoarded munitions to explode in different directions, resulting in 10 deaths. Today, we review the 2024 activities in the country, including the 2024 budget passage. You recall Mr. President saying it reached 85% performance. How much impact did that have on the economy and Nigerians? We'll also be looking at the issues of elections, the staggered elections we saw in Edo and Ondo State. Are there lessons to learn from these elections? Is there an improvement in our process as well? Perhaps the most controversial bills before the National Assembly as we speak are the tax reform bills. How have these bills affected Nigerians, and what impact really are we going to see have in the coming days and coming months, especially now that stakeholders are asking for more consultations? Let's bring you some updates on the updates from the Nigerian military as regards the airstrike in Sokoto.
We do not have any foreign base in Nigeria. Anyone who is saying that is trying to be mischievous, is trying to be misleading, and definitely has an agenda. When it comes to foreign base, we do not have. Whether any country, there is no foreign base in Nigeria. And the reasons are also not far-fetched. We do not want our country to be a ground for proxy war. Okay? We don't want our country to be a ground for proxy war. You accept one person, the enemy of that person will start following you. That is proxy war. We don't want that. So anywhere you hear anybody talking like that, I think they are talking like that as a distraction. I heard one of the African leaders say something like that. That's a distraction from him tackling the problem in his country.
The military there dismissing claims by the Nigerian junta that Nigeria has been used by France to destabilize Niger. Of course, the Niger Republic junta had accused Nigeria of collaborating with France, and we're seeing a lot of allegations in that regard. You recall that prior to this time, there were concerns on whether or not there are French military bases in Nigeria, and the defense headquarters continue to deny that allegation. Join here, I'm joined by PDP chieftain in Edo State, Chris Ojekere. Mr. Ojekere, compliments of the season. Thank you for joining us on the program this evening. Let's begin with some clarification coming from the Nigerian military as regards the explosion in Sokoto, a secondary explosion, setting up some hardened explosives, and this is happening about 1 year after the air bombing in Tudumbiri in December last year. What do you make of this development?
It's worrisome. It's worrisome to every Nigerian because although we are not experts in military tactics and military, handling of their weaponry, but it should worry us that almost every year, and sometimes twice in a year, we hear that our militaries are bombing our people rather than bombing Boko Haram. It's very worrisome. For whatever might be the reasons they are giving, we still think that they could do better than what they have done. It's not encouraging. I mean, when do you bomb? I should expect that you will be aware of your target. You know what you are bombing. You know bombing and why you are bombing. And that's my thinking. When they say the terrorists are using humans as human shields, they're using our IDP camp people as human shields. So it just shows us that the IDP, the Boko Haram terrorists, have more information and have more connection to the IDP camps than the military. As you have said that by now, the military would have set up a system of orientation that the IDP camp people will be able to recognize those who are friends and those who are enemies. And they would have within the camp those who will give them real-time information whenever you see any abnormalities happening within the camp and all of that. Because you don't just come in a day and use people as human shield. You would have built cells there. You would have been there for a while before you can gain the people's confidence to use them as human shield. You would have been carrying out activities. So it doesn't mean that our military do not have intelligence from those camps to be able, because I mean, this is not the first time Boko Haram and terrorists have entered into our IDP camps and, mingled with the people to commit havoc. So it's worrisome. Every Nigerian is worried about the news.
According to the Director of Defense Media Operations, there were painstaking efforts made by the military to using intelligence reconnaissance in picking the target before the strike on Christmas Day. And according to General Buba, the airstrike on the terrorists led to secondary explosions, causing hoarded munitions to explode in different directions, and that resulted in 10 deaths. Is there, when you consider the global warfare, they say almost everywhere now has its own security concerns, what's your understanding of the fact that operations like this usually attract collateral damage? Is there, an acceptable extent on the side of the people?
What I cannot understand is, are you telling me that those explosives were kept, where the villagers? I don't understand. The military, don't they have secluded places where they keep their explosives, especially dangerous ones that have that kind of, magnitude to cause that kind of damage among the people? I should expect that such formations will be very secluded and exclusive to the military, and the military should have real time surveillance over such, bases. So I can't read the situation. I can't really read the situation. I think all of that is just military jargons to confuse us. The poor village civilians are doing their normal business, and then they get bombed, and you are telling me about explosive. I don't understand all of that. Do they keep explosives in the homes of the civilians that they bomb?
Well, hoarded munitions, we can't tell whether they belong to the military or to the terrorists themselves. But let's move on and discuss some other issues we're tracking as we count down to the end of 2024. Perhaps one of the most controversial bills before the National Assembly are the tax reform bills. We see a lot of setback considering the position of some stakeholders. As a matter of fact, at some point, the Governors Forum wanted it withdrawn for wider and further consultations. During his media chat earlier on, Mr. President said he's open to negotiations and concessions. How do you think the issues around these bills can be addressed moving forward?
The thing the President just said, I don't think, you see, people need to, especially, he also made the point, which I agree with, that whenever you introduce tax bills anywhere in the world, anytime, there will be protestations, and then there will be contestations and all of that. But I think in this case, with all due respect to the President, he created that room. You see, if you live in a heterogeneous society like Nigeria, especially with the dichotomy between the North and South, vis-a-vis what we all bring into the federal pulse from our respective regions, and you want to introduce that kind of bill, because what is the real bone of contention in the bill is the VAT. And you want to introduce that kind of bill that is going to be regional biased, so to speak. It is something you must consult very widely and discuss very extensively, and ensure that everybody gets the buy-in and nobody thinks that you are trying to shortchange them and you are trying to exclude them from the, your economy. So the consultations would help. I, for one, believe that, we do need to do something about the taxes, especially with respect to expanding the tax net to take in more people. There are so many people in Nigeria who are outside of the tax net. That's not good for the economy. But if you are going to have to do that, then you have to consult very widely and discuss with stakeholders so that everyone would understand what the bill is driving. Another fear they had, which I think the presidential aide tried to rest, is that because President Bola Tinubu is known as a tax entrepreneur, so to speak, with his alpha beta, people were afraid that he just wanted to expand business for his business, so to speak. He wanted to create business for alpha beta, to be collecting the taxes and then boost his own personal gain. I think they've tried to, settle that and try to allay fears there. But you must consult with the people. You must make them understand just exactly why you are increasing, what you intend to achieve, and how the money, increased taxes, is going to be beneficial to every part of the country and every region of it.
It turns out that many of the rumors following the bills before the National Assembly were dispelled if you take time to read the details. But we're looking forward to the public hearing. Hopefully that will also better educate Nigerians on the matter. Tunde Doherty is the UK chairman of APC. He joins this conversation as well. Mr. Doherty, the tax reform bills have been highly contentious, with some criticizing the potential impact on vulnerable segments of the population. Mr. President recently said that's not true, that it's a pro-poor bill before the House. But how do you respond to these concerns, and what form of adjustments can be made to ensure the bills are more equitable?
Thank you very much for having me, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance to everyone in the studio there. I think the tax reform bill, Nigeria, it's well overdue for us to reform all our tax system, considering the economic situation we are undergoing in Nigeria. The president, I think, in his media brief has highly break down he has done a good analysis of such a bill. And it's a bill that will encourage entrepreneurship and economic development in every segment and areas of Nigeria. And the bill also, by virtue of his analysis, has bring about a relief to the low-income earner within the system, looking at the revision of the graduated tax rate for personal income tax purposes. We all know that in Nigeria, the tax in itself is a burden on the working class, and especially those that are the low-level earners within the system. And I believe this tax reform has addressed that by making sure that the low-income earner will pay lower tax and extend a more taxable, a more tax on those that earn in the high level. In the space where we are here in the United Kingdom, low earners pay 20% tax, and they have tax relief. Everybody has a tax relief of every year, which is about 1,200, about 1,250, about 12,500 here in the UK. That's your tax benefit for each year. So if you earn less than 32,000, that means your tax cannot be more than 20%. But if you earn in the high rate of £50,000 per annum, then you are looking at paying about 40% tax. And if you earn over 120,000, you earn more higher rates. So definitely there is more relief, and I believe that what the president is trying to do with the tax reform is trying to mirror the economic practice in developing nations that will help the most vulnerable within the society. And looking at the introduction of the rent relief under consolidation relief allowance and requirement for tax deduction, it also gives a bit of relief to the low-income earner in terms of their rent paid, and imagine you have 10 houses anywhere in Nigeria, you don't pay the relevant tax or the land charges and all of that. I think, and for those who don't have own a house, who rent, it gives them a bit of succor to be able to plan more by the relief that they earn a bit more to relieve them in whatever they are doing. The exemption of compensation and damage for chargeable gains. And look at it. By virtue of this reform, from the analysis so far, it gives every region that opportunity to now work hard. You understand? To now work hard and earn more and generate more tax so that they can have a better share of the budget or the economy, as so to say. So this is an awakening relief system for Nigeria, and I believe that yes, we can criticize it because we are in a time that things are difficult left, right, and center. But I can tell you that the president is taking the bull by the horn. Yes, it might be painful, but whether we like it or not, I believe that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and I believe that tax relief system is a good one for the betterment of the whole of Nigerians.
Gentlemen, we had difficulties connecting with both of you earlier on in the show. We are completely out of time. I wish we could drive this conversation further, but I want to say a big thank you to both of you for joining. Tunde Doherty is UK Chairman, APC, and Chris Ojekere is a PDP chieftain that joined us from Edo State. Gentlemen, compliments of the season to you.
Same to you. God bless you. Thank you very much.
That's our show today. You can watch it again at midnight and at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Oguntoye.